Have you ever wondered what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? That's the tension at the heart of Chinua Achebe's masterpiece. Things fall apart, especially as we dive into the explosive events of chapters 22 and 23. This isn't just a story from the past. It's a powerful look at what happens when cultures clash, when beliefs are challenged, and when everything a society holds dear begins to crumble. Let's set the scene. The relatively tolerant missionary, Mr. Brown, is gone. In his place comes Reverend James Smith, a man who sees the world in black and white, good and evil, with no room for compromise. He looks at the Igbo traditions not as a different way of life, but as something to be completely erased. He scorns Mr. Brown's attempts to understand the local culture, believing that any accommodation is a weakness. This new, rigid approach emboldens the most zealous converts in Umofia. They feel liberated from Mr. Brown's policy of restraint. Among them is a man named Enoch, whose fanaticism will ignite a fire that threatens to consume the entire village. During a sacred annual ceremony where the ancestral spirits of the clan, the Egwugwu, appear before the people, Enoch commits the ultimate sacrilege. He publicly unmasks one of the Egwugwu. To understand the gravity of this, you have to realize this act is not just disrespectful. In the eyes of the clan, it is the equivalent of killing an ancestral spirit. It's a desecration of their entire cosmology, an attack on the very link between the living and the dead. The clan is horrified. The spiritual fabric of their community has been torn. The response is swift and decisive. The next day, the Egwugwu, the embodiment of the clan's ancestral power, emerge not for a ceremony, but for justice. They descend upon Enoch's compound and burn it to the ground, a symbolic act of cleansing the land of his sin. But their work isn't finished. They then move as one powerful, intimidating body towards the source of this new, destructive faith, the Christian church. They gather before Reverend Smith, a sea of masked figures representing the ancient authority of Umofia. They don't want to harm the people inside. Their goal is specific. They explain that to cleanse their village of Enoch's terrible sin, the church, the building that bred this disrespect, must be destroyed. Reverend Smith, unyielding and fearless, stands his ground. He declares that they will not touch his church. But here, a fascinating moment of cultural miscommunication occurs. Smith's interpreter, understanding the fiery temperament of the Egwugwu, fears the consequences of delivering such a defiant message. He softens the Reverend's words, telling the Egwugwu that Smith simply asks them to leave the matter in his hands. But the Egwugwu are not there to negotiate. They are there to restore balance. They ignore the diluted message and do what they came to do. They burn the church to the ground. For the clan, this is not an act of aggression, but a necessary spiritual cleansing. They have excised the source of the profanity and restored order. And in this moment of communal action, our protagonist, Okonkwo, feels a surge of something he hasn't felt since his exile, a flicker of happiness. He sees his clan acting with the strength and unity he has always cherished, even though they didn't go as far as he wanted to kill the missionaries and drive them out completely. This decisive act of destroying the church fills him with pride. It feels like the Umofia he remembers, a clan that will not be trifled with. For 2 days, a tense quiet falls over the village. The men of Umofia arm themselves. They are on guard, ready for the white man's response. Okonkwo is hopeful, believing this is the beginning of a real fight to reclaim their sovereignty. Then the district commissioner returns. He's the face of the colonial government, the power behind the mission. He sends a message, inviting the leaders of Umofia to his headquarters for a friendly chat to discuss the recent events. The leaders, including Okonkwo, decide to go. They bring their machetes, symbols of their status, but leave their guns behind, thinking it would be improper for a peaceful meeting. They arrive at the commissioner's headquarters and he greets them with a disarming, condescending tone. He calls them friends and suggests they all talk things over. Trusting his words, the 6 leaders put their machetes on the floor as a sign of peace. It's a trap. The moment they are disarmed, a group of court messengers and soldiers swarm into the room. The leaders of Umofia are seized, handcuffed, and thrown into a guardroom. The mask of friendship is ripped away, revealing the brutal reality of colonial power. For several days, these proud, Respected elders are subjected to humiliation. Their heads are shaved. They are starved, taunted, and beaten. Okonkwo's heart, which had just started to feel a glimmer of hope, is now filled with a burning, impotent rage. The commissioner sets their bail at 200 bags of cowries, but the court messengers, corrupt and opportunistic, see a chance for profit. They go back to the people of Umofia and inflate the price to 250 bags, planning to pocket the difference. They deliver a chilling threat: if the fine is not paid, their leaders will be taken to Umuru and hanged. The news sends shockwaves through the village. The town crier beats his Ojin, calling an emergency meeting. The urgency is so great that even Okonkwo's beloved daughter, Izinma, cuts short her marriage visit to her future in-laws and rushes home. The clan that just days before had acted with such unified strength is now faced with a terrible choice: submit to this humiliation and pay the ransom, or risk the execution of their leaders. The next morning, crushed by the weight of the threat, the people of Umofia make their decision. They will collect the cowries. They will pay the fine. They choose submission to save their leaders. For Okonkwo, this is the ultimate betrayal. He just endured physical and mental torture, but this surrender by his clan is a deeper wound. He sees it as proof that the fighting spirit of Umofia is truly broken. The white man hasn't just brought a new religion. He has brought a government and a system of justice that can handcuff and humiliate their greatest men. A system that can make them pay for the privilege of being abused. As they collect the cowries, a profound sadness hangs over the village. The pride from burning the church has vanished, replaced by the bitter taste of defeat. Okonkwo's brief moment of happiness is gone, replaced by a cold, hard despair. He realizes that the battle is not just against missionaries, but against a system designed to dismantle his world piece by piece. The things that held his world together are not just falling apart. They are being systematically torn down. And as Okonkwo sits in silence, a dangerous fire is rekindled within him, a fire that will soon lead to the story's tragic conclusion. The stage is set for a final, desperate confrontation. What will Okonkwo do? How does a man of action respond when his entire community chooses inaction? We're approaching the climax of this incredible story, and the fallout will be unforgettable. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for our final analysis of Things Fall Apart.